Let's talk about this upcoming blue wave. I'm going to focus today on the upcoming House elections with the midterms just a few days away. So far, leading into the midterms, the focus by the mainstream media has been on how many of those House seat Democrats can hold, but they are all extremely competitive races, and it is certainly possible, based on what I've been seeing here with the Political Contest Horary, that the Republicans could increase or at least hold their majority. I think we need to bear in mind that out of the House races that are leaning Democrat, they are only doing so by very slim margins. So it's going to be up to 29 to 31 toss-up races that will actually determine House control. And all those races are much tighter than what the mainstream media or the polls are suggesting. So bearing that in mind, we have to consider a number of other secular factors. One being particular that I think is crucial is turnout. Now, a new Harvard IOP poll shows that young people are engaged in this campaign and plan to vote this time, with 40% of respondents between 18 and 29 saying they would definitely do so. The poll notes that if 22% of that 40% actually do vote, that would represent the highest youth turnout in a midterm election in over 32 years. And if they do, this group favors Democrats by 66% to 32%. However, there's a problem. The problem essentially for the Democrats is if their coalition doesn't get the turnout they're looking for or a strong enough turnout in the numbers based on the current projections, then the majority of the votes will come from older and more conservative Americans, which lean Republican. Now, the other factor that we need to consider is the economy. Republicans best Democrats on the economy by strong margins in polling across the board, and the economy is getting its highest approval rating since 2001. Yes, that's even higher than the Obama recovery in 2012 or 2016. Also, another factor which is unprecedented is that we have a president who's going all out all throughout the country for Republicans for the past several weeks. Now, this is not very common. In some key crucial Senate elections, we saw Obama, we saw Bush, we saw Bill Clinton go out and campaign on their behalf to a certain degree. But in this case, we have Trump literally flying from state to state, making several trips to several states in one day, as if this was the 2016 campaign all over again. And so there's no doubt that Trump has run up the numbers for the Republicans in those states he has rallied in. Now, the Cook Political Report says Democrats will gain somewhere between 30 and 40 seats, up from 25 to 35 seats last week. However, the Political Contest Horary that I'm showing here indicates that we're seeing around 21 districts going for Democrats, giving Democrats a total of 216 in the House of Representatives, which is just enough for Republicans at 219 to keep control of the House. And using Political Contest Horary methodology, the House control is still, although favoring Democrat, it's only by 53% for the Political Contest Horary probability versus 538 for Nate Silver and 65% for predicted. So I believe as we get closer and closer to the midterms coming Tuesday, many undecided voters are going to crack to Republican and make this blue wave become more purple and leaning in some cases with some possibility to a red. So a blue wave transitioning to a red tide is the trend that I'm foreseeing as we get closer to when the polls open on election day. So that's basically what I see. I think the most competitive race right now is Iowa 3. And for those of you who are not familiar with my work, this is a way using astrology, using Horary astrology, where we note the time when we determine the proper odds for particular candidates who are running for office and the latest poll snapshot, and using that time to erect a chart and using very specific rules to determine who will win in that particular contest, in that particular race. So we don't use any natal astrology here, which is very common. This is a mundane application of horary at its best. And for those of you who are skeptical or not familiar with my work, just note that going back to 2008 through 2016, we have on average around an 87, 88% accuracy rate. We're shooting for somewhere around 92%, hopefully, which is what we achieved in November 2016. So using this methodology, the most politically contested races for the House has to be Iowa 3, no doubt about it. That's going to be ground zero in how the polls and how the turnout is really going to be an overall determining factor for how I believe the rest of these closely contested House races will go. So Iowa 3 right now, we have a Republican incumbent that's holding that House district. And right now we have 538 for Nate Silva saying a 68% probability, predicted at 52% probability, and the Political Contest Horary indicating 52% probability for Republicans. So both predicted and 538 for Nate Silver indicate it's going Democrat. I believe it will crack Republican. It'll be a nail-biting race. I believe this is the race to watch, and hopefully there'll be a number of polls emerging by Sunday or Monday to tell us more about whether the Political Contest Horary is going to be correct or not on this one. But I believe how it leans will be a augury of the actual numbers that we're going to get. So right now, I think we're going to have a very, very split House. The Republicans may hold it. The Democrats may gain it, but barely. I believe it's going to be pretty much split down the middle. And that's pretty much what I'm seeing. So tomorrow, I like to talk about the Senate and talk about the particulars of that race, especially with what's going on in Florida and Indiana. And I would also consider looking at some of the governor races if I have time on Monday to see what races are likely to either shift the governorship into the Republican or Democratic majority. So that's pretty much what I see. Thank you for your time for watching this, and I hopefully will see how the election results match up with the Political Contest Horary. Thank you.